Yeah.
Saw sharks, but I didn't see whales. They must have been cloaked.
They must have been cloaked.
I'm sorry, that was just the first thing that popped in my mind. Oh, they must have been cloaked.
Been cloaked. Captain, there be sharks here.
We're sharks. Hammerhead sharks. No, they weren't hammerhead.
Tigers?
No, reef sharks.
Oh, reefs. Okay.
Yeah, they're reef sharks. Duh. Check. Okay, I need to turn me up a little.
Check out the melody. Check out. Check off. Nuclear vessels.
Nuclear vessels. We're looking for the naval base in Alameda where they keep the nuclear vessels.
Like that won't draw attention at all.
I still love the fact that that woman who answers them was not supposed to.
No, she was not
She was
supposed
trying to get back to her car that they had blocked. Hi,
Hello.
Bobo. How's
Hi,
it
Bobo.
going?
Hello.
We are not reviewing a movie tonight.
No, we're not actually.
We are having a shorts discussion
Yeah.
that may or may not be short.
Yeah, look at the title.
We are talking about animated movies that never got made. Hey, Neko, how's
Neko.
it going?
Hello, guys. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been on. A week.
Yeah, because I had to take a vacation.
Yeah, he took a voyage across the sea.
The Gulf, anyway.
Gulf.
Guys, y'all in the chat, do me a favor and let me know if you can hear Deedlet. And I've got that going through the wrong speaker,
Yeah,
too, but that
we
won't
can
affect
hear it.
them. That I can fix on my end.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Okay, good.
I had an issue with last week's recording. Don't know what happened, but it means I do have to like redo part of it. I have to manually edit Deedlet back in. Okay, make sure. Okay, that's playing through the right thing now.
Someone's grumpy tonight.
Oh, I just hit the thing.
Let's see.
Now, where is my... Not Kindle. See, I haven't used this for a week. I used it for other things, and now everything is... all my shortcuts are messed up. There's my stuff. And move off of Fire Breather. Unproduced movies.
Okay, we are live. Excellent.
Yes. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Excellent.
I was afraid of that. I got to do one little thing here before we can get started for my notes. Because I thought I was cheating and I was wrong.
Cheaters never.
So do not look at my computer screen, please.
Gotcha.
Or you... Because that's the thing. We have not actually shared with each other
That is
what
true.
our...
We haven't.
what
So I'm
our
not
choices
looking-
are, so I don't want him to see what my thing is. But I've got to go on to here.
Yes, to your question, Bobo. Still got those $10 requests open? Yes, we
Yes. And if for some reason you don't want to go through Patreon, let me know.
do. Yeah.
I can make adjustments. But DM me on... I think we're friends on Discord, or at
Yeah.
least through Facebook. So get in touch with me if you would, if you don't want to do that. Because I don't remember if it was
Yes,
you or
within reason.
somebody else that was the primary reason they didn't want to do this, because they didn't want to support Patreon, which is fine.
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it.
Yeah. Direct donations are good too.
And if for some reason just gave
I've
me
been
a
thinking.
ton of lists, but it's fine.
Would deeply appreciate it, Bobo.
I will say, Bobo, if you can get in before, let me bring it up, before June 7th, we'll be able to get you, the next patron pick is scheduled for June 7th, but nobody's filled that slot yet. So if you can get it to me by June 7th, we'll get right to you. Bear in mind, that's only a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it is literally 2 episodes from now.
Wow.
Because we have this one. Well, I say 2 episodes. We have this episode we're recording tonight.
True.
And then we have another episode that is already been recorded.
True.
That is going to go up next week. And then we have our plus episode, and then the patron pick.
Yes.
And yes, folks, we are very close to somebody's event.
A little bit.
But you will not miss episodes because I have gone to the trouble of recording with our friends episodes so that we can put it in our feed. So y'all will still have a new episode every week. And there's only 1 week I wasn't able to get it done, and we've already passed it. So
happens.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, I still have one more to record, but I'm not worried about getting him done. I can wait him to the last minute. I'm sounding a little hot. I did turn me up.
Oh, okay. Now he's sounding hot.
Because I did turn me up because last week I was sounding a little echoey. Like I was afraid I was mostly coming through Jacob's mic.
He was sounding very echoey when I walked in.
Well, I sound echoey most of the time.
That's true. Echo.
So anyway.
Can't you tell we've been doing this for a while?
5 years.
5 years.
All right. Oh, I need to switch back over to soundboard.
Yes. So you're good over here.
I'm good. You can look. I'm off of that.
It's not for my EDD to look over here.
I know. That's why I was warning you. And it's not really. My screen is not situated where you can't. You have to actively look away.
Yes.
Because it's the way. Because normally when I'm working on the computer by myself.
Yes.
And we're not recording, I'm like over here.
Because
that's just the best angle for me.
Yeah.
But for the podcast, I got to be over here, so I get this nice little side view.
So to tell a little story about like not looking at something that someone's trying to be like, so this was like a couple of months into me proposing to my fiance, and so we go to Dallas. She's got family in Dallas, so one of her cousins is gonna be one of her bridesmaids, and she's super excited. And we go to Hobby Lobby. We go get flowers, a whole enchilada, and start doing arrangement. The whole be like, I have a blast doing it because I'm an artist guy. I like art. I love color. And it's like, oh, that'll look fun. And so me and her cousin Lauren are just having the blast and a half. Ashley's like, don't know what to do. So hello.
Hi, Mama. Hey, Dad.
Hello, Dutchins.
I wasn't hiding. I just hadn't said anything yet because you were in the middle of a sentence.
But
I was giving you the floor.
Yes, thank you. Well, I noticed them too.
As in bad and need a vacuum as it is.
But we go out to dinner with her goofy family, which they're very great people. They're just funny.
I have a suspicion that y'all's. I don't know what you call it when it's two sides of the family. I have a feeling your families are going to get along. That's all I'm trying to say.
You're not kidding.
Because you're both crazy.
Look who's talking. No offense, Dodging.
I have to say, you're going to say this in front of my parents. I am a little more forgiving of such things. Because I've said worse.
You're not kidding. So be like, we're having dinner, having a great time. Be like, I'm sitting here. Ashley's
not about the family in general, just certain people, and y'all know which people I'm referring to.
Anyways, so to set up the scene, so we're at dinner, open canopy area. We're having dinner, sitting there. I'm sitting here. Ashley's sitting beside me. Her cousin Lauren is sitting across the table, like where you guys are from the camera. And so Lauren is just like so excited, be like, there's her daughter, and her husband. So I'm sitting there talking, and Lauren, without fail, whips out her phone and shows Ashley a picture of something I can't tell. Be like, I didn't see. It was fluffy and pink, but it was something else that I shouldn't have been able to see. That I saw very clearly that was pink and fluffy. If you're getting the reference, which I don't want to say online.
Let's not.
Yeah. No, it wasn't bad.
I was trying to think clean things
bad.
that you could be referring to.
No.
Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. The giant stuffed unicorn from Despicable Me.
Something that the groom is not supposed to see until the wedding day. Let's just say that. I quote unquote did not see it. I saw something pink and fluffy. And that was the most hilarious. To me, it was hysterical.
I'm going to let it go.
But
because a question popped into my mind. Oh, no. I thought, no, we're not going there because the answer could not be what we want on this podcast.
No, remember, friendly podcast.
Indeed. So
yeah, so that's going to be very interesting because obviously the cat has been out bag for months. Getting married in June 22nd. So Drew, like Drew said, there's going to be a lot of short episodes or hiatus episodes for a month.
I have recorded a bunch of episodes with many of our podcast friends.
Yes.
One will be going out either. I haven't decided if I'm going to put it out this Friday.
Yes.
Or next, and by this Friday I mean the following Friday,
right,
or the Friday after that. But we'll find out.
Pink tutu for Jacob. No, that'd be for Drew. I know he doesn't like pink. I know he doesn't like me. That's why I said it.
Okay, first off, as an accent, pink is fine. I am an artist. I can make these observations. I know colors.
Oh my gosh.
But as an accent color, pink is fine. As a primary color, it can burn in Hades.
Oh my gosh, there was
unless you're a Power Ranger named Kimberly, then whatever.
That is true. Kimberly can do no wrong because it's Kim.
Actually most of the Pink Rangers look fine in that setup, but you know what I mean.
Yes. So there was another story where me and Ashley were in Target. I don't know. Some people may have different ideas of Target. Don't want to shop at Target. Whatever. So we're walking around. We like to just walk around, and look at things, and be like, "Oh, that's interesting." So we get to the guy section, and there's all the pop T-shirts and the whole thing. And Ashley's like, "Hey, we can get this for Drew." Lifts up the shirt. It says Barbie, and it's fully pink. I was like, "Ooh, he would kill me if I did it." No. I was thinking, like, what's
okay? If we're gonna be telling pink stories on me, I do have a pink story.
Oh, you have a pink story.
Oh yes, as all great embarrassing stories are. This took place in high school.
Oh, fun.
I was in math models class.
Math models.
Yes. Okay. I don't know why they called it math models. It was basically, here's a math class that's not algebra, but will give you a math class to do your senior year so your skills don't rust too fast.
Fair.
Basically, that's what it was.
Okay.
And because the entire class was full of seniors anyway, so they're coming. It's the fall. The school year's just started.
Yeah.
And the student council is going around with announcements showing off, hey, here's what we're doing for pep rallies. We're going to be selling different colored T-shirts. You have a different color for each grade. So because, freshmen are still green, they got green. I don't remember what the sophomores or the juniors got. However, because our student council president loved the color pink, they decided the seniors should wear pink. I spoke against this very loudly without raising my hand. And apparently I was not alone because thankfully, like all high schools, you have a senior shirt that is not this pep rally thing.
Yeah.
And it was black, and that's what most of us wore. But I said, I am not wearing pink.
Not happening.
But anyway, that's my pink story.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Awesome.
Shall we get started?
Yes. I think this has been a very nice
You're welcome,
We
have gotten a little off the rails.
No, of course not.
What's new?
Yeah. Be like, I'm curious now, ever since when the heron hiatus happens, as what we're calling it. I wonder, ever since we're going to be on the show's going to be on a hiatus for a month or so.
Ish. It's 21st through the last week in July. Last Friday of July. I can't think of what that date is. We're taking all that off. We have an extra one to handle the bachelor party next Friday. But other than that,
that's gonna be fun. We'll give you guys info of that when we go.
Yes. In fact, remind me to ask you a question between this episode and the X-Men episode.
Yes.
Concerning next week.
Got it.
Anyway,
Gotcha. So, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
I forgot.
Shall we start?
Yes, why not?
The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast.
Shorts!
Joining me today is a man who just wishes they'd release that stupid movie already. Welcome, Jacob.
Well, no, there's no pin of frustration at all. At all. Can we tell? Maybe, maybe not. Why, thank you. And let me introduce our lovely co-host, a man who, if he can just get that one signature, it actually might get something done when it comes to getting a movie released for a change. Come on, Warner. Welcome, Drew.
Just put it out on Max already.
Yeah, come on.
I know you don't want to. I know you think you're... I don't even know why at this point, now that you've pretty much said, oh yeah, we'll let somebody else have it, you don't just put it on Max. But anyway.
Yeah. Tax write-off.
We'll be talking more about that particular thing in just a second.
Yeah. Yes.
Tonight, or today,
Yeah,
or
today.
whatever time you're listening to this, right now, we are not reviewing a film.
No.
As you can try tell by the fact that this is a Cellcast Shorts episode. No, we are actually having a discussion about movies that never got made.
Yes.
Or in the case of one release, because we know it's made. It's done. Release
Yeah.
it already.
Well, we know that. Well, we'll get there when
We'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
But, yeah, we're going to get started on a... Just, so,
I
yeah,
thought I got tongue-tied.
it just happens
Yes.
sometimes. So, yeah, since we don't have a spoiler-free section to go over,
No.
why don't we do, instead of that, we actually talk about the thing we keep referencing, because it is at least my honorable mention. I don't know if it's yours.
Yeah. That's a good question. My honorable.
You have one.
I do have an honorable mention.
Then you go first.
Okay, my honorable mention would be a Pixar film that had been promoted for at least 3 to 4 years. A little film called Newt.
Ah, Newt.
Yeah, Newt. Newt was canceled as a canceled Pixar film. It would have been the studio's 14th feature film and was ultimately taking place of Brave. Gary Rydstrom was going to make his full-length feature film directorial debut. The film was originally scheduled to be released in the summer of 2011, but was pushed back to 2012, and from there it was replaced from Brave in the Pixar studio lineup, and Monsters University was Pixar's 14th. So the plot for this little film was what happens when the last remaining male and female blue-footed newts on the planet are forced to come together by science to save their species, and they can't stand one another. That's the problem facing Newt and Brooke. Heroes of Newt, the Pixar film by the 7-time award-winning winner for sound, Gary Rydstrom.
And I think we already know why this one was canceled. Just from that description. That's the theme. That's the plot to Rio.
Yeah, it is.
Change out the lizards for birds.
Yeah.
It's basically the same plot.
Yeah.
And Rio got released faster.
Yeah.
And I think, from what I remember, because I was following the news on this at the time, I think it was running into some scripting issues at the end. And when it was going to come out much later than Rio, they just decided, this isn't working. Let's just scrap it.
Yeah, that was basically the idea, because it was one of those they had, because like if you like
because I mean Brave came out at the same time, right?
Yeah, Brave kind of
Brave had issues.
Yeah,
and
Brave
it went through lots of rewrites.
Yeah,
it almost didn't come out.
No. Yeah, because Newt was one of those, they kind of teased it in different films. I think they teased it in Toy Story 3 of all things. But there are parts where, we've all done writing for stuff. It doesn't matter if it was school or just a project. be like, you get halfway through it and you're stuck. You can't figure out where to go with this. And I think this is the main issue when it came to Newt. They had all this great material and they just couldn't get it done. They couldn't finish it. So Pixar just decided to scrap it.
Yeah. Go ahead and move on to better, or let's say greener pastures, which kind of works.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So what is your honorable mention?
My honorable mention, we've already been referencing it multiple times.
Yes.
We know the film is finished. Like 99% finished.
Okay.
I'm sure there's like a couple of little things, like something in the credits or something like that. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Maybe little things here or there. But for the most part, the film is finished. It has gone through screenings, but Max, or not Max specifically, but Warner Brothers Discovery, Zaslav, decided that he'd rather have the tax write-off than actually release the film. I'm talking, of course, about Coyote versus Acme. Here's the thing about Coyote versus Acme. I am not a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner fan when it comes to Looney Tunes.
Okay.
I enjoy most of those cartoons.
Yeah.
I appreciate the 8 rules that they actually made regarding how those worked that Chuck Jones came up with.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, when you see one Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner cartoon, you've seen all of them.
Yes.
So I'm not a big fan. But here's the thing I do know. I would pay money, good money, to see a court drama where Wile E. Coyote is suing the Acme Corporation because the Acme Corporation owes him. I don't even know anything else about it. Just that concept alone is worth the price of admission to me.
Yes.
It could be garbage for all I really know. I don't think it is, but it could be. And I think I would still pay the money happily because just that concept alone is funny to me. Especially since Wile E. Coyote has only talked in like one cartoon, and it was against Bugs Bunny, so he kind of had to talk, and otherwise it would have been a very strange cartoon. But you know he's not going to talk in this. He's going to be talking through signs, like he always does. And through his lawyer, whoever his lawyer was being played by.
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember who it is now.
Yeah.
But it's such a clever concept, and I really want to see it. And the fact that they won't release the darn thing, even though it's supposed to be done, it grates at me.
So here's another thing about
this
that.
is the only one I know for certain has gotten out of pre-production on my list, by the way.
Right. So there's the so we've already reviewed a Max scrapped movie.
Yes, Urkel Saves Christmas. That's golden nuggets. I'm not going to say what it's a nugget of. If you release that thing, release this one. Because this has got to be better.
I'm just saying just another because that's going to be on a number 1 later.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I know what that is, even though it's not on my list.
Oh, really?
Just because I know you.
Okay.
I know you.
Yeah.
But that's not on my list.
Ah, gotcha. All right.
So, what is your number 5?
Number 5.
No, well, before we do that, let me ask: is yours in order, in any certain order?
Kind of.
Okay, because I was going to say mine is not in an order.
Yeah. So technically, I actually flipped it. I flipped the script because I had my honorable mention. I threw it in there, and I was like, "No, that's my number 1. That's my number 1." So I literally just flipped it up, and it's like, okay. So my number 5 would be Plants vs. Zombie movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So based off the,
if you can make an Angry Birds film, you can make Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a pitch that came out. To read the Wikipedia page in April 2015, the website we got this covered reported that a film based on the 2009 video game franchise Plants vs. Zombies was in the works at DreamWorks Animation. Let's see. The Lego Movie creator director Roy Lee was eventually attached to direct it. Its plot, according to Rich Winter about the film, a human eats some contaminated hot dogs while visiting a carnival with his family. Then he becomes a zombie and begins to infest everyone, and the rest of the plot is unknown.
That was
So
as far as they got.
that was far as they got. They got some amazing concept art there. You want to go look it up. It's out there. I've seen it. It's very beautifully well done. And the only explanation when they can see why it was canceled is currently unknown at the moment. But many people have assumed that it could be possibly too scary and violent for children. So yeah,
maybe considering depending on where they go with it.
Right.
If you keep it within like the art style of the game, I think it would be fine because those are not really scary zombies.
yeah.
Granted, I know your mileage may vary. Some people that might be too much,
Exactly.
but I think it probably would be fine.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's like it would be interesting as a movie because obviously, like you said, be like Angry Birds.
Yeah,
They've made 2 Angry Bird movies.
we've thankfully only reviewed one,
Yes. But
and that company is no more. Rovio is gone.
oh, that's right.
Anyway,
Yes. All right. So that is my number. That is my
5.
Fifth.
Number 5.
Number 5.
My number 5 is my pick from Warner Brothers. Yeah, no, I already had a Warner Brothers pick, but that was honorable mention. This is one I found out. Well, I put it under Warner Brothers, but it went through like a number of different companies. But Warner Brothers is the one who put a lot more work into it. There is a comic book that came out created by Jeff Smith
Okay.
called Bone.
Oh yeah, I read about that one.
And they were going to make a movie based on it. On November 17th, 2016, it was announced that Warner Animation Group was adapting Jeff Smith's comic series Bone into an animated film with Mark Osborne to direct it. However, in October 2019, it was announced the project had been sold to Netflix to become a television series, which was later canceled in April 2022 due to problems going on at Netflix Animation. So basically, it's dead now.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what Bone is, Bone follows the eponymous Bone cousins who appear as white-skinned cartoon humanoids, those being Everyman Phone Bone, Wealthy and Self-Serving Phonincible P. Phony Bone, and Simple-Minded Smiley Bone. When Phony mounts an ill-fated campaign for mayor, he is forced out of their hometown of Boneville. When Smiley and reluctant Phone Bone follow him, after the cousins find themselves in the desert, Smiley finds a hand-drawn map that they use to navigate their way across the fantasy landscape. The cousins are separated by a swarm of locusts and individually end up in a mysterious valley, a journey made more difficult by the pursuing rat creatures. Eventually, they reunite at the Barrel Haven Tavern, where they are taken in by a mysterious girl named Thorn and her grandmother, Grandma Ben. Phonebone instantly develops a crush on Thorn and repeatedly attempts to express his love through poetry. As they stay longer in the valley, they learn that it is under threat from the rat creatures led by King Doc and the Lord of the Locusts. The Bones are gradually drawn into the events around them, compelling them on a hero's journey to help them free the valley. I bought this comic book on like a whim. I had no idea what it was.
Okay.
And I just knew it was like, this is a very thick book because it was the omnibus that had every issue in it. I remember thinking, this is a big book. This is going to take me a while to go through. I think I finished it in like 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Because I kind of got drawn in. This would have made, I think it would have made a better TV show, in all honesty.
Okay.
Just because of its length and how intricate it was. You probably could make it work as a movie. I'm just not sure how well. But the fact that it got optioned and now it's canceled and gone, it's like, oh man, I didn't even know this was coming. I would have loved watching, looking for this. Maybe see it in a theater, maybe watch it on Netflix. Either way, but yeah, it's gone now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
Mine is actually an Aardman production. Tortoise versus Hare.
I remember seeing that one.
Yeah. So this was going to be a stop motion animated feature by Aardman Animation and DreamWorks Animation, and was going to be directed by Richard. I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. Gozikrokin. I'm going to butcher it, so I apologize if I said it wrong. The movie was going to be released in 2003, but it was canceled due to script issues, just like my previous entry. So I think there's because if you've ever tried to write something, like it takes a lot of time to work through something, and then you kind of get to this certain point. You may have the end and the beginning, but if your middle isn't working, and you're stuck, you don't know what to do with it. So, yeah, I think I picked two films that have a very similar fate. Just couldn't get the script right.
Sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yep. So that's my number 4.
My number 4 is a DreamWorks film,
Okay.
Me and My Shadow.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
In December 2010, DreamWorks Animation announced a project called Me and My Shadow, scheduled for a March 2013 release date. The plot involved Shadow Stan, who serves as a shadow to Stanley Grubb, the world's most boring human. Wanting to live a more exciting life, he escapes the shadow world and takes control of Stanley, with Mark Dindal slated as the film's director, who also developed the film's concept and story. The film was meant to combine traditional and CGI animation. In January 2012, Bill Hader, Kate Hudson, and Josh Gad had joined the voice cast. Additionally, Alessandro Carloni had replaced Dindal's director, and the release date was pushed back to November of 2013. Its release date was then pushed back again to March 14th, 2014, with Mr. Peabody and Sherman taking its November release date. By February 2013, Me and My Shadow went back into development, with Mr. Peabody and Sherman reassuming its original 2014 release. In 2012, there was a press screening, apparently, of Me and My Shadow. I'm guessing it must have been like a test animation or something, where Jeffrey Katzenberg
Thanks, Katzenberg.
fell asleep. The crew working on the film knew he wasn't into it. After the screening, he said it wasn't a $200 million film, which is what he needed. In 2015, Edgar Wright signed to direct and co-write an animated feature for DreamWorks, in which the story was described as a new take on a previously developed concept about shadows. In an interview with Collider, published in June 2017, Wright explained that he and David Walliams had written 3 drafts, but the project is in limbo due to management changes at DreamWorks Animation. I think that's about the time they got bought by Universal, too. Even with the project being in limbo, the public attention has risen high of the unreleased film a whole decade after it was announced. Though many are eager to see it, the status of Me and My Shadow is uncertain.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just one that's just not worked out, and bad, and management causing issues, and just, yeah, it's just one of those that just it just has had the worst luck. It may still come out, who knows? But it also may never see the light of day. Ironic that a shadow will never see light.
Wow.
What's your third pick?
My third pick is based off a video game, because we've had this discussion.
I am really curious if we're the same.
I'm curious, because they're gonna be like, there's probably been a ton of projects that have gone through.
Ton of video game projects.
Yeah, exactly. Mine would be Sly Cooper.
Nope, I had a different one.
Yep, Sly Cooper. Or this one is called, let's see. Sly Cooper was a planned 3D computer animated film based off the Sly Cooper and the Thiefus Raccoonus. First announced in 2014, the film was to be produced by Brad Foxhoven and David Wolf of Blockade Entertainment. The original developer, Rainmaker Studios, which is now gone defunct, left the project in late 2017. It was originally set for a 2016 release, though due to Rainmaker's departure, the actual release date is unknown, and the project has been remains shelved since 2017. So the plot for this this concept, there's actually a trailer, like a full-blown trailer, and ads and everything for this thing.
I'm not surprised.
That never got released. So, Sly, a cunning and comedic heist film, kinetic and comedic heist film that tells the story of Sly Cooper, an orphaned raccoon thief, and the adventures of his childhood friends and partner in crime, Bentley and Murphy. In the film, Sly learns that he comes from a long line of talented international thieves, and is involved in global adventures. Spy races to reassemble pieces of the ancient book holding the Cooper's clan family secrets before it can fall into the hands of Clockwork, an evil mechanical owl bent on ending the Cooper family line. The romantic backdrop to it's like
Yeah.
like this looked like be like the trailer is up. You literally all you have to do is go Sly Cooper movie trailer, go look at it. I've seen it. It looks amazing. And they had so much of this stuff done. And that's the thing with a lot of these things. You have so many projects that go months and months and years, and they cut them off at the knees at the very end, like my number one, which still makes me angry. But like I'd be like, and for as thankfully, because as kids of the 80s and 90s, like you would have this information.
Yeah.
Now you can go in and find all this information about lost media and all the great stuff that never happened. But it's a shame to see stuff that could have had so much potential, but was shelved or is still sitting in limbo for who knows how long. They're like, again, it might be picked up at some point, but right now it's sitting in limbo.
Yeah.
So that is my number
3.
My
number 3 is Fox, and it is also a video game.
Ooh.
Which is why I was thinking, if you say this, I'm gonna laugh. But it's based on a video game made by Capcom.
It doesn't have to do something with a barrel roll.
That was Nintendo.
Oh, well, never mind.
Because you're thinking Star Fox.
I was thinking Star Fox. I was like,
And
wait,
that's-
they had a Star Fox movie?
No, that's Nintendo.
I know.
That could still happen. No, this was a Capcom. It stars a very long-running... it's based on a very long-running video game franchise that has, as of now, like 4 different eras.
Really?
He has been an antivirus program. He has been a robot from the year 20XX. And, of course, there's the original Mega Man from the NES that this was going to be based on. By September 2015, Sherman Entertainment and Capcom began developing a Mega Man film with Peter Chemin producing, along with Mike Ireland and Ryan Harrigan and David Reddy and Michael Finfear overseeing the film. It was unknown whether or not it was going to be set as a live-action/animated film at the time. In July 2017, Henry Juice and Ariel Schulman was hired to write and direct the film, with Masi Oka producing. Following Walt Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox's parent company, 21st Century Fox, the film, along with numerous video game-based films that were in development at Fox, were canceled in August. On October 29th, Capcom indicated to investors in a semi-annual report that the film was still in development at Disney. Mattson Tomlin was hired to rewrite the script for Capcom and Chemin Entertainment. In April 2020, Peter Chemin and Chemin Entertainment signed to a non-exclusive first-look feature film deal, producing deal with Netflix. After Disney put the project in turnaround, where basically they would looking for someone else to help them finish it, Netflix would end up acquiring the film.
Gotcha.
And they still haven't released it yet, so we'll see if that could happen. That may
Gotcha.
not, but I don't think it's far enough in production to have made a difference. What's your second?
My second movie to not be completed, or
Number 2.
number 2. That's what I meant to say. 2.
I said second, that you just repeated me, so it's
I
fine.
I did. It's fine. A movie that would have came out, if my notes are correct, would have been like 2015. And this would have been I'm looking at it, Sony movie. let me get to my top of those notes. Medusa.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Yes. So Medusa, the plot synopsis of this film is she is a Medusa, a normal human who many of us is overwhelmed with trying to fit in with the current mold to please others. Her resulting popularity ticks off the wrong goddess who turns her into a snake-carrying monster who all know and fear. Medusa sets off on a quest to reverse the curse with the help of a goofy team of oddballs and misfit mythological creatures who help her learn what it means makes you different. In fact, what makes you stronger. In June 2014, Sony Pictures Animation announced Lauren Fitt would direct the animated comedy feature film entitled Medusa, which is based on the pitch by Todd Alcott and Holly Golden. The film would have told the story about the character of the same name in Greek mythology. Let's see, in which she would set off on a quest to reverse the curse and she'd earn from a jealous goddess. Sony Pictures president of production, Michelle Rodrigo. I'm going to butcher names. I apologize. I'm going to butcher. I'm going to skip it. After hearing the initial funny pitch, we could to quote her, we could immediately see an enormous potential in the idea. And when Lauren, a unique, gifted animated filmmaker with a real talent for relating to audiences, connected with the project, we knew the combination of her vision and their story would create something spectacular. Medusa is a clever, heartfelt animated comedy about a girl who's having the ultimate bad hair day. Also, yes, that Todd and Holly's vision of the tale of Medusa is filled with so many of my favorite ideas to work with. Magic. Yeah, don't you love when you look at a word, you know what it means, but then it just flops on you? Greek mythology, humor, and strength. Funny and extremely relatable characters. I'm excited about the idea of showing the comedy behind the otherwise horrific, horrifying monster. And I was really drawn to the writer's unique reimagination of the Greek mythology. In March 2015, Lauren announced that she was no longer in touch with the project or Sony Pictures Animation. It was stated, I was very much enjoying my time at Sony and extremely excited about the progress our amazing team was working on Medusa. But as it happens, as with so many studios, with so many projects, we ultimately ran into creative differences on the direction of the project. I don't know if Medusa has been shelved, but I'm no longer working on it or at Sony. According to internet sources at Sony familiar with the project, Medusa is still in active development. The original producer is still active on the project. Late that month, Sony Pictures Animation president Kristen Belson announced she is championing the project and currently looking to bring a new director. In 2017, Robert Rugen announced on his website that he was the new director of the project. In 2009, however, he said the project was canceled. So this movie has been through the ringer, and like if you've ever looked up Medusa animated movie, see like a small handful of design concepts and actual animation or pencil drawing tests, and it looks so incredible, and it's just so sad. Like, this movie didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It just looks like an amazing, fun romp of a film, and it's just sad it's not going anywhere. So, what is your second?
Second to last, number
Second-
two.
number two.
Mine are not in any order. But this is actually a Disney film that would have been made. Disney canceled this.
Oh, yeah, that's not uncommon, but it happens.
Yes. They canceled it because they couldn't afford the rights to the book.
Now I'm curious.
Disney can't afford the rights to a book. Just let that sink in for a minute. Mm-hmm. But when I saw that they were looking into this, I thought, oh, that could actually work. Mm-hmm. Because I have read the book this would have been based on. Mm-hmm. In fact, you've seen a movie based on a sequel to this book.
Huh. Now I'm curious.
Do you remember that it was a movie. It was a two-part. It was like two movies back to back, kind of a miniseries kind of thing that we watched over at Chase's called Hogfather.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember the character of Susan?
Remind me.
Death's granddaughter.
Oh, yeah.
This would have been a story about her parents.
What?
The movie would have been called Mort.
Mort.
As the name of the book is. It would have been a proposed traditionally animated film that would have been based on Terry Pratchett's Discworld novel of the same name. It would have been directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. Mm-hmm. The directors of the 2009 film The Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
Disney could not afford the rights to the film, and so it was scrapped. Clements and Musker would then move on to direct Moana.
Wow.
But if you're wondering what the story would have been about, I have gotten the synopsis for the novel from Terry Pratchett's website.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Death comes for us all. When he came to Mort, he offered him a job. Death is the Grim Reaper of the Discworld, a black-robed skeleton with a scythe who ushers souls into the next world. He is also fond of cats and endlessly baffled by humanity. Soon, Death is yearning to experience what humanity really has to offer, but to do that, he'll need to hire some help. It is an offer Mort can't refuse. As Death's apprentice, he'll have free room and board, use of the company horse, and being dead isn't compulsory. It's a dream job until Mort falls in love with Death's adopted daughter, Isabel, and discovers that your boss can be a killer on your love life.
Oh, gee. Oh, that sounds perfect.
Oh, this would have been a fun movie.
You're not kidding.
And because here's the thing, this was actually the first novel in the Death sub-series of Discworld, because Discworld is not just one series. It is like 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah.
It's a whole world this guy that Terry Pratchett came up with at first just to mock to be a satire of fantasy novels, much like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was for science fiction.
Yeah.
And then it became a satire of everything.
Oh,
anything he wanted to make fun of, including movies like The Blues Brothers.
oh my gosh.
Also one of the Death books. The bureaucracy of local police forces, insurance agencies, China. Just China in general. Oh. There is a book I have not gotten to, and I really want to read it, called The Fifth Elephant.
The Fifth Element.
I just want to know, what is The Fifth Elephant about? Because I'm thinking Fifth Element.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, okay, I haven't looked up which of the series it is. I'm guessing it's Rincewind, because of course it would be. the worst wizard in the universe who can't cast a spell. Mm-hmm. He's still a wizard because he does know a spell, but if he ever speaks it, the world will be destroyed. And it really wants to be spoken, because it was one of the 8 spells used to create the Discworld. And he stupidly opened the book, and the spell slinked into his head and won't let any other magic spells in.
Oh my gosh.
I'm suspecting that's what it is. But Mort, on the other hand, follows my favorite character in the Discworld, Death. Death is in every novel. Most of the time, he's just a small minor character because the idea behind Death is while he doesn't have to be at everyone's death to usher them into the next thing, he is always at important ones and wizards. And cats can see him because, of course, cats can see him.
Of course.
So, for instance, in one of the books, well, there's not dragons in this world.
Okay.
Except for like little pet dragon things. Dragonlings, more like. And it's not because there were never dragons in the world. It's just because they've all gone off to their own dimension. Very true. Dimension where you could see a bunch of dragons and realize that the empty space between those dragons were other dragons.
Ah.
That's how full of dragons it was. And one of the dragons gets summoned to the Discworld.
Oh, gosh.
And off screen, almost not really off screen because we aren't really told the summoning happened. We just know we're following a bum walking down the streets of Ankh-Morpork, the main city.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, he's dead, and he doesn't know why. And Death is confused as to what killed him. Because, honestly, he's a bum. Death doesn't show up for bums. Why would his death be important? Well, the apocalypse might be happening. The dragon apocalypse.
Oh, my gosh.
That just is as an example of how this stuff goes. And Mort is like it's the third book total in the whole series, but it's the first of the Death books. And Death is one of my favorite characters because he's so funny. And you watched Hogfather.
Yes.
You know how funny Death is.
Death is hysterical.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
And he's dry as a bone.
Ba-ba-bum.
So this would have been funny to watch, in my opinion. Honestly, this would have worked as a Disney film.
Yes,
it fits in their wheelhouse. Would they have screwed it up? Probably a little bit because Disney always massages their stories to make them less frightening. Yeah. Because if you go back and read some of those classic fairy tales, you go, they read this to kids? Mm-hmm. Well, to quote Death, of course it's not safe. If it were safe, they wouldn't learn a lesson. And that's what the old lines were, and that's why Disney would probably screw it up. But
probably.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen this, and I still would love to see this, even if somebody besides Disney makes it. But kind of makes it in the Disney style. Because why not? You could. So yeah, that was my number 2. The fact that we nearly got a Discworld novel, movie made in America is just mind-boggling to me.
Gotcha.
I could see Illumination doing this, and it wouldn't work as well because there's not 1,000 little munchkins that they can use to say stupid things to make kids laugh.
Yeah.
Like every other Illumination film. Thank you, Minions. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
What is your number 1 unmade, unproduced animated film?
Real. Rory.
I am not surprised. Zaslav!
Oh my gosh.
I like how Zaslav is actually louder than Katzenberg.
Shirt idea. Just saying. Shirt idea. But oh my gosh. But so we've already reviewed Scoob. Scoob was a good movie, but like it has issues the whole bit.
Right. And it was obviously setting up a cinematic universe for Hanna-Barbera stuff, which would have been cool if they'd have been able to finish it.
Yeah, so get this. So the film was directed by Michael Kurtzsky. There again, I'm terrible with names, so I apologize. And Bill Haler. The screenplay was written by Paul Dini. Dini.
I know. I read up on this.
Yes.
I had a feeling it was going to be one of your films. That's why I didn't touch on it.
Yes.
You're much more the Scooby fan than I am.
Yes, I am. It'd be like you have like heavy hitters. Oh my gosh. Frank Welker, hello. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Fred, hello. McKenna Grace, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was in this film.
Who would he have played?
Ming Na Wing. How do you pronounce it? I'm sorry.
Ming Na Wen?
Ming Na Wen. Yeah, she was in it. So,
if Ming Na Wen was in it,
Yeah.
I have a feeling that means Hong Kong Phooey was in this movie, which I'm surprised wouldn't have gotten it canceled.
we'll get there in a second.
Jackie Chan playing Hong Kong Phooey would be perfect, actually.
Gosh. The film was set to be released
maybe not
on
Jackie,
HBO
anyway.
Max in December 2022. Warner Bros. Discovery shelved the film in August, citing cost-cutting measures and an intent to refocus on theatrical films over projects made for streaming. Plot synopsis of this film: to celebrate Scooby-Doo's first Christmas, 10-year-old Shaggy and the gang take him to a holiday-themed resort owned by Fred's father, Fred's favorite Uncle Ned. When the park is besieged by a ghostly haunting, the kids must solve a 40-year-old mystery to save the resort and show Scooby the true meaning of friendship. In 2021, Tony Corvan, I'm going to butcher it again, it said that a follow-up to Scoob was in development. On December 22nd, 2001, HBO Max released a Caesar reel featuring the first look at the Christmas-themed prequel film titled Scoob Haunted Holiday, or Holiday Haunt, which was to be released on the service in December 2022. The film takes place in the gang's youth. Hint, what was that?
Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
Which was like the best part of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the best part of Scoob.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was it? It takes place in the youth. With Welker and actors who portrayed the younger versions reprising their roles, while Ken returned to write the film with freaking Paul Dini as well to produce the project. The film was co-produced by Bill Hader and Michael Kinskier. I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah.
Had an estimated budget over $40 million. Cancellation. Thanks, Warner.
That's love.
Again, t-shirt design. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. On August 2nd, 2022, Warner Bros. Discovery canceled its release, citing costly measures to refocus. Again, reiterating what I said earlier, refocus on theatrical films rather than creating projects for streaming, aka at the time HBO Max. Now it's just Max. Tony would go on to say that on the same day that the project was practically finished, later that month, it was released that the film would still be finished, even though Warner had already no plans to release the film. The film was finally finished on November 4th, 2022. Following Andrea Boats. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We lost so many movies.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
In that.
Andrea, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm going to pronounce it. Just hit me with it. Barauugher.
Let me see.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I can't do it from spelling.
Fair.
Brower?
Brower.
I'm guessing?
Yeah, Brower. Following Andrea Brower's death in December 2023, Cornwall revealed details on the actors cast for the film, and Burroughs joined the project after a 10-minute meeting. He was later accepted. Oh my gosh. It's like, come on, really? Be like, this film is literally finished.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my gosh. That makes me so angry. Be like, you have a perfect film that takes the front end of Scoob, which I absolutely love to death. I guarantee more Scooby-Doo fans loved it because you're throwing back to a pup named Scooby-Doo, which was a fun show. And then Thanks, Zad Lab.
Yeah.
It's, oh, come on. It's literally a finished film, and you have so much freaking talent behind it. But no, we're going to write it off as a tax break.
We don't care how much money you save, Warner Brothers. Release films.
Yeah.
That's your job.
And they release the
You release Circle Save Santa.
which
Why?
wasn't-
We don't know.
No, through Amazon Prime. It's like,
Anyway.
and like to be real, be like, you had Scoob, which came out in 2000. Where was that? Where was it? Come on, I feel sheepish. Yeah, be like, it came out in 2021 when Scoob came out. Like, this is a perfect follow-up. Be like, it's got a great cast, it's got great writing, it's got a great director behind it, and then you release a property that has not been touched, and nobody in this entire generation now has no idea who Urkel is.
Yeah.
They only know him as like an icon. They don't know who he is. And then you bring him in, and it's not even really Urkel. It's barely Urkel. For a guy who grew up watching Family Matters, Jim and Knees has made me frustrated. It's like, yeah, you can do. Did I do that? But it's like, jeez, get Scooby back on. Sad Lab.
Feel better?
Yeah. Just give it to Amazon Prime.
Or whoever.
Whoever, complete the stinking film, let us watch it, or heck, release Batgirl.
Because that was done too.
That was done too. And,
I don't care if you thought it was bad, just put it out there.
And like you said, like
This is not going to be the horrible thing you think it is because you had to give in to the Zack Snyder fans for the 4-hour cut. This is not like that, where those people were obviously going to be asking for more. We just want the movie out. We just want to see movies.
Yeah.
It's your job, Warner Brothers,
Yes.
is to show us movies, and you keep holding crap back to save money,
Yes. To
get a tax break.
Yes. To quote a social media influencer, you've got to do better. And it's like, come on. Jeez. Be like, you release that snot of a film, which we were already reviewed. We both didn't like the film. I had high hopes. And yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually, Warners will get off their tail and maybe release it at some point. But
Maybe.
right now, it's not being released, which is sad. So that is my number one, which is Scoob Holiday Hunt.
Right.
Come on.
My number one is thankfully not as bad a reason why it didn't get released as Jacob's was. It wasn't really. It was the reason this movie never got finished was not because they were trying to get a tax break. It wasn't because they couldn't afford it. It just didn't work, or not that it didn't work. It just was something that kept being brought up, and they never got back around to getting it done. And it's something that has been in development since 1985. This movie has been in development for as long as I've been alive.
Wow. I'm curious now.
It's a Muppet film.
Oh, that film.
The cheapest Muppet movie ever made. That is the name of this project.
Wow.
It's an idea for a film that Jim Henson, Jerry Jewell, and Frank Oz first developed in 1985. Jewell, the Muppets head writer from the 70s through the 90s, discussed the film's concept in a 1998 interview with Muppet Central. There was and I'm reading his words. There was a project for a Muppet movie that we kept returning to. Jim and I worked on it and just loved it. It grew out of the fact that Jim was talking about finances, and if we did another Muppet movie at the time, it would need to be done inexpensively since we were using bigger and bigger budgets for all our other projects. Bear in mind, this is around the time of Labyrinth. and Dark Crystal. So we conceived of a movie slated as the cheapest Muppet movie ever made. This was the original working title, and that later became the subtitle with the along the line, and it came with a subtitle along the lines of "Into the Teeth of the Demons of Death."
Wow. Just say it.
The idea being that the Into the Teeth of the Demons of Death was a film that Gonzo directed.
Gonzo?
Kermit being too busy. When Gonzo asked, Kermit said, "Sure, go ahead. I can't take on the responsibilities behind the scenes at this time, but I'll perform in it." So Gonzo writes this cheesy, terrible plot that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever about something being stolen that led to a chase around the world. Unfortunately, Gonzo blows half the movie's budget on the opening titles.
Typical Gonzo.
So as the film progresses, it gets cheaper and cheaper, where they end up using like the same shot of the same street corner for every city in the world. We were still talking about this project in the last meeting I ended up having with Jim.
Wow.
Every now and then we still bring up the movie. 6 months ago, as this is back in 1998, Frank had said to me, there's still something in that movie. It would be a lot of fun to do. One thing that kept it from happening, though, was that for the cheapest Muppet movie ever made, it still turned out to be expensive to shoot.
That's funny.
Things like a tranquil island blowing up with a volcano and such.
Gonzo.
Additional plot details were recounted in Jim Henson, the biography. Gonzo's film, once again titled Into the Jaws of the Demons of Death, would eventually get cheaper and cheaper in looks, turning into a black and white Super 8 film. Then to a slideshow and storyboards. Eventually, Gonzo would gain some corporate sponsorship, ending the movie in high-definition widescreen.
It sounds like the end of Evangelion.
Frank Oz discussed resurrecting the 15-year-old script in a 2000 interview. The script was again mentioned as a next movie for the Muppets in September 2009, as discussed at the D23 Expo. It was later set aside yet again in favor of The Muppets, which is a good film. We'll get to it eventually.
Yes.
Frank Oz responded to a question about the project on a Reddit Ask Me Anything in 2018. When Dick Cook was head of Disney, he asked me to get involved with a Muppet movie. So because the previous script was dated from being written 40 years ago, I did rewrite it with the help of Jim Lewis, and personally, I love it, and I wish it could be made. But maybe its time now is gone because it feels like Disney would like to go their own way. In a live stream for the Museum of the Moving Image in 2020, Jim Lewis revealed one scene in the rewritten script took place during the Muppet movie, showing the action behind the curtains of the Miss Bogan County beauty pageant moments before Miss Piggy's entrance. In a 2023 interview for the website Tough Pigs, Frank Oz discussed an idea for the film was to have assorted Muppet rats be the camera operators with cameras attached to their bodies. Eric Jacobson talked about reading as Frank Oz's characters at a table read for the revived project and the prospect of Oz performing on the project as well. He says, "I was invited to do the read-through, and we talked about that we had talked already. Frank and I had talked, and he talked about how he might want to perform in it. I said, that's fine with me. That'd be great. Fantastic to have you come back. And I've always said this to him that he's got a parking spot reserved should he ever want to play. Frank and I had spoken, and it was kind of the understanding that he was going to come back to his characters for this one project, which would have been great, which would have loved to have seen it happen, and I was looking forward to having this journey with Frank, with these characters, possibly assisting him, and just having this real quality time with him on the same production with these characters. But it just wasn't meant to be. For those who don't know, Frank Oz quit playing Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear, his two main ones, and really everything, all his Muppet roles, going into the Muppets because he did not like that script and thought Disney was ruining it.
Fair.
Well, more on that when we get to the Muppets. So we get to the read-through, and he has me read all the parts, all of his characters at the read-through, and I obliged. I can't tell you that it was the easiest thing for me to do, but I obliged. He wanted to hear it, And then it was funny because we got about halfway through and he came around to everybody and was giving us all notes on how to carry the material forward for the second half because he wanted it to just sparkle as much as it possibly could. And he took me to the side. I thought he was going to give me some pointers about Piggy and Fozzie and Sam and Animal. And he starts talking to me about how all the rats should have Brooklyn accents. Well, Rizzo does.
Yeah.
But that's because Rizzo was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But I would have loved this. This could still happen. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
They could still do this. They ought to do this. This sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah. Put on Disney Plus, it'd be fun.
Yeah. And granted, there'd probably be a lot of the way you shoot movies nowadays, there'd be a lot of CG, but it would still work and it could be funny.
Yeah.
And the fact that this would be like the last Jim Henson movie that he had anything to do with, so many years after his death. And I've known about this since for like 15 years now that this movie was in some form of production. And I almost wasn't going to do it until I started reading more about it and realized, oh, this just sounds hilarious. And it's not the kind of thing the Muppets do anymore. And they really should get back to doing stuff like this. But yeah, the cheapest Muppet movie ever made was still going to be expensive.
Yes.
It would have been fun, but unfortunately,
it never happened.
it never happens. And who knows if it ever will. That brings us to the end of this list we've come up with of, I guess, what comes down to 12 movies that as of this date, May 17th, May 17th, 2024, have not been released or made.
Yes.
And some of these we'd love to see.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'd love to see all of these,
Yeah.
for being honest. Some of these wouldn't take that much for them to finish. Zaslav! I'm sorry, we may have opinions.
A little.
Just a little.
A little.
But yes. In that case, join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we will get to talking about what we've been watching and some news.
Yeah.
Wrong one.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Since we've been kind of giving a top, a list, kind of a top 5 in a way,
Yes.
I thought, why don't we just promote our brothers who normally just give us top 4s? The Rushmore Show!
Yay!
The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making the Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. You can find more on their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz,
Hi, Rob.
Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com, and the Monster Island Film Vault.
Thanks, Nate.
If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, exclusive special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, and for a limited time, the exclusive reviews of X-Men 97, you can donate to us at the $5 level over on Patreon, or if you want to give us about $5 more than that, along with all those benefits, you also get to force us, and possibly even guest appear on the show, reviewing any film you can convince us to review. Within reason. That's why I said convince us to review. So yeah, just you can donate to that on Patreon. We've got 2 spots left, people. As of this recording, we still have 2 spots left for this year. So yeah, make us review something.
Yeah.
We look at what our past people have done. Nate Marchand forced us to review the good King Kong musical.
My gosh, I think it was terrible.
And then last time we had Edwin Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Even though he unfortunately had to drop his patronage, we still gave him what he paid for. And he got us to review a Cartoon Network original film called Fire Breather. And that was actually fun to watch, I think.
It was.
But you can make us... And neither one of these things were things we would have thought of.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, give us a reason to watch something we maybe not have thought of. Though bear in mind, if you pick something we've already got on our schedule, which admittedly we've not published that schedule.
No, not yet.
We may have to say pick something else. And there's a couple things that are definite no's.
Yes.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
Some of which would surprise you. But he knows what I'm referring to.
Yes, I do.
But anyway, join us. Donate to us on Patreon if you want to support us. Also, go to our shop.
Yeah.
You want a t-shirt that says it's lime green and has our Cellcast logo on it? Since that's the only shirt design we've ever published
So far.
click the link in our show notes for Redbubble and please buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Send us money. We would like money.
Yeah,
Please.
Just wait for August. We might have some projects coming in the
If
way.
for no other reason than to make we don't make it where we don't have to put our own money up for this. Which, no offense, has mostly been me. I'm just saying, you owe me a little.
Wow.
Moving on.
Moving right along.
Dig-a-doom, dig-a-doom. That seems apropos considering our last lesson we talked
Yes.
about. So, Jake. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I cracked myself up.
You did.
By the way, I am not pressuring you. Even though I don't think I've ever charged you for any of the back pay.
No.
But if you feel like it.
Got it.
Anyway. So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks, yes. So this was a very pleasant surprise to me. So Disney and Hulu merged.
Yes.
They became one app. And knowing that Hulu had everything that Fox Studios had on theirs, and be like, there's no way on earth this is getting on Disney Plus whatsoever. It happened, people. So
Fun fact, if you have the bundle and can watch Hulu stuff on Disney Plus, you can go watch Spy Family over there.
That's right.
Fun fact, if you want to catch up where we left off at the end of the first half of season 1 on TAS,
I didn't realize that.
it's there now.
Gotcha.
Do you have the bundle?
Yes.
Then you won't have to borrow my copy when we get back.
Gotcha. All right. So I watched a movie that I am very familiar with. I could literally, I would say quote it, but I am so familiar because I watched it as a child, and it's a action movie from the 80s. Die Hard on Disney Plus. Because I could.
There's... I can't.
You can't.
I'm trying to come up with a joke. Something about Bruce Willis being your new Disney princess, but that doesn't work.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mother Smucker.
Bruce Willis is Winnie the Pooh. I don't know why that just came to my mind.
Oh, that is terrible. Terrible.
Just never forget that Disney technically owns Kill Bill.
That is true. They do. They do. So I watched that. Literally, I could put it on the background. I know what's going on. Now, mind you, as a kid, as a child, but like we watched the TV edit of this film. My dad literally spliced this movie, the front of it, because it got damaged. So we watched this film as a TV edit. My dad finally gets a hard copy of this thing. I'm like, whoa, this is a lot more than I thought it was. But it's such a good movie. And then it was like, you know what? Just followed up Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which I always enjoyed as a kid. I always enjoyed that movie. Like, I know.
Can I just say that if they ever make another Die Hard film, because we're up to 5.
Yes.
If we ever make a 6, I have the perfect title. Old Habits Die Hard.
Oh my gosh. Well,
It's the perfect title.
I agree, but with Bruce Willis's current condition, I think that's gonna happen.
Like I said, Old Habits Die Hard.
Agreed. The 4th one sucked. The 5th one sucked. It was terrible. Anyways, so I watched that, and a movie that I've been wanting to watch for years because I've seen reviews over it. And I was like, wow, this looks like a good movie. Like, really, really good. And people have raved about it. It recently came on to James Cameron finally released it on 4K.
He finally got around to color grading the film for Blu-ray.
Yes, The Abyss.
And he finally did the
True Lies.
True Lies also, yeah.
Yeah, True Lies now has
The Arnold Schwarzenegger, what's her name? Scream Queen.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, which I love that movie to death. It's so good. It's so cheesy, but it's so good.
These films never got a DVD release.
They did get a DVD. They got a DVD
in
release.
Europe.
No, over here.
I never saw it because my understanding was he was wanting to do a color grade, and that's why they didn't get released on DVD.
Well,
that the last release they had done was on VHS until this Blu-ray release.
Well, I have a DVD version of True Lies, and
I'm not saying you don't.
Yes,
I agree that you probably own a copy on DVD.
Yeah.
My question, but my thought is this like that quote unquote DVD copy we had of Song of the South?
No, this is legitimate.
Just with a fancier cover.
No, this is a legitimate release of True Lies over here in the States.
Okay.
Yeah. He's never, because he's been so focused on his Avatar project.
Let the Smurfs die. Kill them if you have to. To quote another Disney space property.
Yes. So I watched it. I watched it on Monday, and I was like, "Wow, okay, this is a really interesting artistic film that James Cameron just went all hog wild back in the '80s." And it's just like, it is just a wow, this is like a tour de force of just amazing cinematography, acting the whole bit, but at the same time, it's like, dear Lord, Cameron, calm down with the directorial dictatorship. Yeesh. I no wonder, like, there are certain actors who will not talk about this film because they felt like they were being treated like animals.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Now, I've heard the director cut is better because they kind of flesh out the story a little more.
Yeah.
Because the ending is like, okay, this is weird. And it just ends weirdly. It's like, okay, shouldn't there be something happening? Nope. Love story. Bye. So, yeah, that is what I've been watching. I'd be like, oh my gosh. Be like, it's a good film. I want to watch the director's cut now. So maybe eventually I will buy the 4K and yeah. So that is what I've been watching. So what have you been watching, listening to, and probably playing?
Well, I was gone on a cruise.
That's true.
So I watched the Gulf of Mexico slowly drift past my deck chair. I didn't watch a movie on the ship, and would you like to know why? They got a movie showing. 9 days at sea.
Mm-hmm.
And none of the movies that they showed on that big screen, 2 a day, were anything I wanted to see. Now, granted, Fast 10 I didn't want to see because I've not seen Fast 2 through 8.
Fair.
I figured that one's fair.
Yeah. That'd be a leap. That'd be a big
I am
jump.
also not a big fan of The Hunger Games.
Okay.
So I didn't watch Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Gotcha.
I've already seen Blue Beetle and The Flash. I'm not in a big hurry to watch them again.
Fair.
I have no idea what The Beekeeper was, but it was showing at midnight, and we had stuff to do the next day. It was rated R. That's why it was at midnight. And I don't really... If I'm going to watch The Color Purple, I'd rather it be the original one.
Oh, it's the remake.
It was the remake. And the last one was The Marvels.
Oh, okay.
An okay film, not one I really wanted to go see again.
Fair.
There were two movies that were on my possibility list. That being Wish, which I need to watch eventually, and Wonka, which I also kind of want to watch at some point.
Okay.
They were showing at noon on port days. Do you know where I was at noon on port days? I was in port!
I was off the boat.
I was walking around the same streets that Daniel Craig was on during the filming of Casino Royale.
Too funny.
I didn't actually get to see the beach because we didn't go that far, but I assume he had to be down there at Straw Market at some point. We got to see a couple cool things, but those two movies, I say Wish and Wonka, were the only ones I had any interest in showing, and they had it on the days I couldn't watch it, which is a shame. Carnival do better. Anyway,
Yes.
that being said, I did read. I finished 2 books on the cruise. Not that one yet. Put it down.
I'll put it down.
One of them was The Right Stuff,
Okay.
the story of the Mercury space program.
Yeah.
Written by Tom Wolfe. Very good. There's a movie based on it, but I read the book, and the book was very good.
Good.
And then I read Fahrenheit 451. I did not realize this book was only 150 pages when I started it.
Okay.
Because I looked at it and go, oh. Because what I do when I'm checking length of books, I turn to the back page and see what the last page number is.
Okay.
Makes sense? And it ended at like page 330.
Okay.
I was thinking, okay, so it's a normal sized book. That'd be fine. I turn back to the front of the book. I look at the table of contents. There's only 3 chapters. Chapter 2 begins on page 50. Chapter 3 begins on page 100. And so I'm sitting there going, so the first 2 chapters are all 50 pages each, but the third chapter's 200 pages. That's weird.
That is very weird.
And I found out why. Because chapter 3 is also only 50 pages. After that point is when all the literary criticisms comes up, because it contains like a bunch of histories about the writing of the book, all the here's what the book means, and all this other stuff. The kind of stuff it's like, if I were in college, I might care. But when I read a book, for the most part, I want to, my first time reading it, I don't want to hear anybody else's opinion on it. I want to make up my own mind. Come to my own decisions, interpret the book based on what I get out of it. And then later, if I read it again, maybe then I'll go back and read what everyone else has to say. But for now, I prefer to see it as a strangely prophetic book about the 2000s.
Wow.
Dude, this book was written in like the 50s, right? Mm-hmm. They had Bluetooth earpieces in this book.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, wow. And yeah, that's about how people treat them too. That's how they ignore the world. And listen to, we're not driving 100 miles an hour like they are in the book, but, well, they are on Interstate 40 between Dallas and Houston, I'll tell you that. But it was an interesting read. I do actually suggest it if you've never read it. It's a good, decent little science fiction. It's not as trippy as 1984. Okay. I think 1984 is a little bit more, and I still need to finish 1984, but it's a lot more, there's a lot more symbolism and a lot more, the world is going horribly. Yeah. This is like, please, okay. Just a quick thing. I start this book in my mind. It's like, okay, this is a book where, knowledge is banned. So they burn books because that's where knowledge is kept. Yeah. I kind of figured that. It's like, that's why it's called Fahrenheit 451, because 451 degrees is the temperature that Ray Bradbury was told that that book paper would instantly ignite into flame. Yeah. It's at 451 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why he named the book that. Yeah. So I thought that's all it was going to be about. Well, we get to like partway through the book, and because this guy's never read a book before, and he's discovering books, and he's wanting to know what's so big about this thing. Why is it that this book that I'm reading, which ironically was the Bible, I think I came up with better reasons why he was getting into it more than why it was speaking to him than just that it was great literature. It's like,
Yes.
You're falling under conviction, my dude, in Ecclesiastes, because of course it's Ecclesiastes. That's the only book of the Bible any of the artistic people ever read was Ecclesiastes. So no wonder you think the Bible's depressing.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's trying to explain, like, so he's saying the problem is not that books, there's nothing special about the books themselves. The movies and TV shows, that's not the actual words in the book, but that's basically what it's referring to. They could have these same qualities if they'd actually write quality and not just put, not just be shallow.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I'm saying. If you just write good stories, it would be fine. But yeah, because people aren't thinking anymore. That's kind of the thing. And the world goes to heck at the end because people aren't thinking at the end. You know how these things go. It's a good book. I suggest it. If you get a chance, just bear in mind, it is one of those warning books about the world is going to come to an end if we don't change our ways. And I'm a man who loves books. That sort of a thing.
Yeah.
So I left on that vacation the day after we recorded Fire Breather. So everything, I did not get a chance to watch anything really until this last week. And, even though we didn't have a movie to review this week, of course, I watched our 3 episodes of X-Men 97. I rewatched Tolerance's Extinction Part 1. I threw in a couple of episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Which one of those was a movie called Avalanche, which involved a 80-year-old Rock Hudson who was acting like he was 40, but he was very obviously much older than that. Another one was called The Time Travelers, which was a really bad science fiction film. But last night, and I still need to mark this on the 200 challenge. I haven't done it yet. I watched not a Mystery Science Theater 3000, but a Riff Tracks. The Riff Tracks was on a movie from 1995, and it was animated. I cannot put this in Bad Movie Month because it's actually very well made. But I also don't think I would ever subject you to this because it was very surreal.
Okay.
You remember Gumby?
Yes.
Do you know there's a movie from 1995?
Yeah.
Do you know this movie makes no blankety blank sense?
I'm not surprised.
Because it's Gumby.
Yeah.
Good night. That is the most surreal movie I've ever watched.
Okay.
And I have seen Titanic. The Legend Goes On.
Right.
We'll see how we do with whatever In Search of Titanic later this year.
Oh, yeah.
That may be even worse. I don't know. But this was the most surreal thing. But it was also well made. Okay. That was the thing. It's actually very good claymation. It's an independent film, but they put a lot of good work into it. But at the same time, I'm watching going, I have no idea what is actually happening. So Gumby is playing in a band called the Clay Boys.
Okay.
He has a dog named Lowbelly. And anytime Lowbelly sees Gumby transform, because he's made out of clay, so he always does these weird things.
Yeah.
He cries pearls.
The dog does?
The dog does. The two villainous blockheads, they're always the villains in these things. They, of course, want to get rich, so they steal Lowbelly and replace him with a robot dog.
Okay.
They can't figure out... They think it was Gumby's playing that caused him to cry.
Yeah.
So they play a radio in their thing so they can collect all the pearls, and he doesn't cry because that's not what made him cry. They think maybe it's hearing the instruments live, is it? So they kidnap Gumby and the rest of the band, make robot duplicates of them, and then keep them frozen. Gumby somehow escapes. I don't remember how.
Yeah.
for one thing, the robots can't play the same songs very well because it literally does sound like them strangling a cat, except with instruments.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make Low Belly cry. And they can't figure it out. Well, of course, Gumby comes in and saves the day with everyone else. And that sounds like it makes sense to some degree. Mm-hmm. I am telling you, that's me rationalizing it after the course of 24 hours. Wow. It really does not make sense.
Okay.
But it was weird.
Just a little.
Just a little weird. I'll show you a clip later.
Okay.
It's weird. And to think they had the gall to call it Gumby 1. Like there was going to be a Gumby 2.
Now you have me intrigued to be like, this is a bad movie that we should.
It's not a bad movie. I can't put it in bad movie month.
Really?
It is not.
Like you said, it was surreal.
It's surreal, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Okay.
Surreal can be done well. And that's the thing. There is a logic to this film.
Okay.
I don't get it. I can't. I had a hard time following, but I can tell there's a logic. Mm-hmm. I can tell the animation is very well done. Mm-hmm. And while I can't put it in bad movie month, I may throw it in like in a regular dice roll at some point, or what we used to call dice rolls.
Dice roll.
We haven't done dice roll in years.
You're not
but
kidding.
you knew what I meant.
Yes.
I might throw it in a regular, but I can't put it in bad movie month because honestly, it's not a bad film. It's just not something I think most people would want to see. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much what I have watched.
Okay, so I did forget one thing. I started listening to. Now, granted, I have read this book before. I have heard the audiobook, I think, twice, but I've never heard it with another reader. Mm-hmm. The best way. So Audible decided to drop the version that that they had for the Harry Potter series. Instead, they put in the English version of it.
You mean the British version?
British version. That's what I meant to say. By Stephen Fry.
I would be curious about Stephen Fry's delivery.
Yeah.
As much as I like the American guys.
Yeah.
I would be curious about Stephen Fry's.
Yeah. So I started listening to Philosopher's Stone. And be like,
because
okay,
it's British, it's Philosopher's Stone.
Yes.
That's the actual name of the thing.
Yes.
This is not going Full Metal Alchemist Harry Potter. Harry.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I just popped in my mind.
You are terrible.
I am terrible.
Terrible. But yeah, that's that. I started listening to that. I was like, okay, that gives you a little more of a different perspective. What?
I'm actually imagining that character I just kind of quoted, but it being Dobby. Master has given us a sock, but he's half dog.
Oh my God.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yes.
There's a reason.
Like,
I think there's a reason we didn't want to ever do Full Metal Alchemist.
Ow. Yes.
It's because I don't think either one of us can get past that episode.
Oh my God.
That is in both versions.
All right. So
Tucker, you devil.
yeah. So let's get into another segment.
Yes, let's. So what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why?
Neko, I'm just going to say, be glad you don't get it. Continue.
Okay. So in the news, thank you, Dealit. In the news, so this was a movie that was brought to my attention earlier. I think it was earlier this week. It was in a chat that I'm in, and they're like, "Oh, this movie's coming out." It's like, okay, and so I watched the trailer. It's okay. I don't quite understand it because it's what kaiju, something to do with a guy who transforms into something.
He's a Henshin hero.
Henshin hero. That's what I was looking for. Henshin hero. So
I
what
have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his series over there that I still need to watch.
Yes. The movie I'm referring to is Ultraman Rising.
Yes.
We
actually got a trailer for it this week.
Yes, we did. The fate of an adorable, destructive kaiju. That's two different things that don't normally fit together. Orphan kaiju is tied to a young man's heroic coming of age in Ultraman Rising, the official trailer for the now 3D CG feature based on the
Tokusatsu.
That's how you say it. Tokusatsu. Tokusatsu production.
You could just say Toku for ease of use.
Tokusatsu. I'm going to say Tokusatsu. I think.
Okay. Just giving you the official short word.
Yes. Tokusatsu franchise, offering a neo-light look at the city-smashing adventure of super-size hero Ultraman and his adopted monster, who is being hunted by a shadowy organization. Ultraman Rising premieres on Netflix starting on June 14th.
Which is terribly close to other events.
Yes. Which I would
I'm not going to say anything, but there may be something happening, but it may not, unfortunately, include Jacob.
Maybe.
Just because it's timing and scheduling.
Well,
we will see.
Yeah, we will discuss this a little deeper, and because there again, that date is not bad. It's a little close, but
it's almost too close.
Almost too close. But we shall see. We shall see. All right, so that was the biggest thing I could think of. It was like, oh, Ultraman's coming out. Even though I really don't understand a whole lot of Tokusatsu, and I know nothing about Ultraman except for the Netflix things that have come out and everything that Nathan Marchand from Monster Island Film Vault and my co-host here have talked about it.
Mm-hmm. There is one bit of sad news that did happen this week.
What would that be?
Rooster Teeth officially closed down.
That's what I heard.
The amazing internet pioneers that brought us Red versus Blue and Ruby are unfortunately gone because of Zaslav!
Really?
They're owned by Warner Brothers. Or they were, and they got shuttered because Warner Brothers.
I didn't know that.
So it's Zaslav's fault because he's the boss. Zaslav. You know what the other weird thing is? Rooster Teeth at the time, I believe, owned Death Battle.
Yes.
Which means that's owned by Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And they have not announced when they're coming back yet.
Yeah.
I suspect Death Battle's gone too.
Thanks, Warner Bros.
Hey, somebody do something. I am so glad that the rumors of Warner Brothers buying Paramount ended up not happening.
Because they would probably shut it down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or it's like, oh, that Star Trek thing? Nah, we don't need it.
Anyway.
or the conversation that happened on Thursday.
We're not going there because it's too much to explain.
Yes, but that was too funny. Anyways.
I'm just saying everyone has their opinions. His were wrong. Either way.
Yes. So that is all.
Sorry, go ahead.
That is all I have for in news.
Which is also all we have for this episode.
Yes.
Because we are not touching we're not going back to Spy Family until after the hiatus.
Yes.
Because we didn't want to. We were at a spot where this is where they originally cut in the broadcast anyway.
Yes.
Happened to be here. So we're just going to cut here until we get back, and then we'll meet the dog. The goodest boy.
I gathered as much as when the dog would show up.
Yes. So, in the meantime, this has been Drew.
And this is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame as long as we don't get canceled.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at ggeorge759. His Twitter at ggeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen.
need to
You
update
can
my
like
photos.
us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming.
On YouTube at Cellcast.
On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher,
Man, I need to update
Spotify,
this.
or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on
we are still
Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description.
I'm
Our
lazy.
theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
If you didn't understand the thing Dealer just said, we apologize. You know, while we are complaining about them needing to release Coyote versus Acme and Scoob and some of this other stuff, we need to remember that Disney needs to release the original cut of Black Cauldron. Release the Rich Bergman cut.
Hashtag.
Okay,
That's a shirt.
that does need to be a shirt.
Thank you.
And also the
Coming in August.
the Zaslav shirt.
Yeah.
We that needs to be the dad from Fairly Odd Parents.
From Fairly Odd. Oh, okay.
'Cause you know his thing, Dinkelberg.
Okay, I've never watched the show, so.
I'll show you clips.
Oh, okay.
We've got
And then-
time.
And then I could draw
Thank-
the character.
Yeah. Well, maybe not exactly the character, but
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
We will be back again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
This is why we didn't do a movie this week. We just
Yes.
threw in a short because might as well do an easy episode in between 2 breaks.
And plus, this is a thing I've wanted to do for a while. And
Right.
It's like something different.
So join us in 2 weeks for something.
Yes.
I don't remember what's in 2
Dum,
weeks.
dum, dum, da-da-dum. Dum, 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 da-da-dum.
Don't you
Dum,
mean-
dum.
Don't you mean dun 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 dun?
Great Scots.
Doon doon doo ba da ba doo 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 ba 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 da doo 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 be da 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 da.
Great Scots.
That may actually be our ending.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anyway, guys, we'll catch you later.
Oh my gosh.